must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
The creation of a continental free trade area is a step forward for the African integration, and it is very much welcome both by Africans in Africa and those in diaspora. The creation of such is the only second one since the World Trade Organization in 1994, and is only compared to the size that can compete if it works in Africa. 1.3 billion people will benefit out of this free trade that has been signed and endorsed by 54 heads of state. After several years of up and down in the valleys of Africa and the mountains of Africa, we finally came to a conclusion that this has to happen, which brings us to the dream of Kwame Nkrumah when he said, at least building a block by block, Africa will one day unite to stand as a united continent. But are the members of this African Union committed? Will they implement what they have decided? Today, in several countries, we see signs of xenophobia, the lack of patriotism amongst the younger generation, the lack of employment, the unemployment, the mistreatment of the young, the youth, those who need jobs, the corruption, the amount of corruption that has eaten the entire continent of Africa could hamper the free trade that we are anticipating on the continent. What measures, therefore, have African heads of state put in place to ensure that those who lag behind, those who drop out, must be penalized? We should not sign the document for the sake of documents, but we should sign documents for practical reasons that we shall implement what Africa needs today. Can it happen in our times? Is it going to happen? Is integration a mirage? Is integration worth going to happen? Will it happen? What has happened about the present blocks that have started integration process? What have they done? Is Africa integrating? Thank you. Conflicts in Africa have become the daily occurrence. daily occurrences in many countries, in the sense that almost every African country, apart from the few, there is tension. One wonders where this tension at times comes from. Some of it comes from elections, a manufactured election, a disputed election results. Some come from territory. Some are terrorist-based, like that of Somalia and Boko Haram. Some are because of regime change, purely sponsored by external forces. But 95 to 96% of conflicts in Africa occur through the sponsorship of external darker forces that would like to benefit out of the spoils of war. George Soros stands as one person who has always been and will always be and shall be until the end, a man who sponsors any type of chaos, who does not follow which type of chaos he is sponsoring, as long as it is chaos that can topple a person he hates in Africa. Many African countries are undergoing this pressure, this tension, especially those that are conducting elections and whose timetable for elections seem to be coming in the near future. As a result of that, Africa stands warned, and Africa must stand on alert about the external forces that want to dismember this continent and create heavens of war, create insecurity, create mirage peace that Africans have fought after 66 years of gaining political independence. It is therefore my submission that most African countries, if they don't look at what George Soros is doing, we might have a shocker one morning, one by one African country being pushed out and the leaders being pushed out of power. The events, therefore, in South Africa, as proved from these detailed undercover operations, they prove that George Soros indeed has a say in South African politics. And therefore, we want to urge Africans and African heads of state and their military and intelligence systems to be careful and watch on the amount of money that is being pumped into their economies, because some of the money could be George Soros money that will end up to bring public disorder in most of the African countries. Thank you very much, viewers.
You know, when one is asked to talk about leadership in Africa, one's mind wanders in many directions, because in the recent past, the continent of Africa has been the subject of scrutiny from many quarters. There are those who are Afro-pessimists and take the view that Africa will never realize our potential. There are those Afro-optimists who take the view that the jury is still out on the success or otherwise of the continent of Africa. I am an Afro-optimist. I take the view that this continent has had a glorious past, and that this continent has had her trials and tribulations, but her better days are in the future. There are those who, when talking about Africa, are in the habit of dealing with Africa as if it were one monolithic block. They do not recognize that the beauty of Africa is in her diversity. And indeed, when you care to undertake a geographical survey of Africa, you will be amazed at what the west of Africa offers, what the center of Africa offers, what the south of Africa offers, what the Horn of Africa offers, and what the north of Africa offers. That is the continent that we are talking about today. And we are talking about her because she continues in many ways to punch below her weight. And many are the commentators who take the view that the reason why she continues to punch below her weight is because the men and women who have had the privilege and honor to serve her in different political capacities or leadership capacities have not served her well. There may be merit in that assessment, but those who are quick to judge, those whose only claim to fame is that they are professional fault finders, must ask many questions before they judge and condemn Africa unfairly. This continent, and I remember, and if we are to judge this continent fairly, we must go back to the past and look to the past and ask about this continent. And there are many who have written about this continent. How many of you here will forget the great writings of Senegal's Anta Diop, who has documented in many ways the glorious past of the continent of Africa, the great kingdoms in Africa. When Europe was still in the caves, Africans were building monuments. If they were not building them in the Ashanti Empire, they were building them in Monomotapa here in Zimbabwe. And there is a sense in which all those have been consigned to the Museum of History. And those who look at Africa see Africa as a scar on the conscience of humanity, not remembering that they were themselves co-authors of Africa's misfortunes. We are the only continent and the only people in the world who have been commodified. How many of you will remember that agrarian Europe had to commodify Africa in order to realize our level of development? At one time in those early days, we will remember, even as we talk about leadership, that half of the population of this continent was taken away. If they were not taken away from Ghana, which they then christened Gold Coast, they were taken away from Angola. If they were not taken away from Angola, they were taken away from Mozambique. If they were not taken from Mozambique, they were taken from Senegal. If the Arabs were not taking us, the Europeans were taking us. If the Europeans in their different tribes were not conquering us, they were stealing from us. Those are the realities that we don't talk about when we talk about this continent. And you know, if one cares to judge the African continent, one must be historically conscious. The oldest African country after we regained our independence from Greater Chief. And the question that we must ask ourselves, why is it that this continent finds ourselves in that space? If it is not Europe summoning us, it is the United States of America summoning us. Everybody is in the business of summoning us. One may ask, what has this to do with leadership? You know, I listened to the Chinese president speaking in eloquent Mandarin, saying how the relationship between Africa and China is a mutually beneficial relationship. He spoke about Africa as if it was one country. He did not remind himself, in my mind, that there are 55 countries in Africa, or 54 if you ask Morocco. And I listened to the Chinese president specifically mentioning the Gambia and a few words on Sao Tome and Principe, that they were welcomed back to the world because they had renounced their relationship with Taiwan and they had now recognized the one China policy. Do I say this because there is anything wrong with China? No. I'm saying this because the Chinese are providing leadership for their people. They know exactly what they want for their people, and they are doing exactly what they want for their people for the benefit of their people. The question that I'm posing to us, do we know what we want for our people? Are we doing what we need for our people? And the answer is, I doubt. Why do I doubt? I doubt because at the end of the entire enterprise, the Chinese president said that he had given, or his government had given, 60 billion United States dollars to 54 African countries. Notionally, therefore, each country would be entitled to no more than 1.5 billion. Half of the presidents who are present in China, each one of them, half of them, can produce 1.5 billion. Sportsmen in Europe and America, including boxers, can earn $1 billion in a single bout. And we are here celebrating and singing the praises of China because they gave us 60 billion. Once again, it is a statement of their ability to recognize what leadership is all about. I'm submitting to us that when we interact with people like the Chinese, there is something to learn from them. We may condemn them at forums such as this, but there is wisdom in asking ourselves, how is it that this country, which about 30 years ago could not feed half our population, has in 30 years during our lifetime succeeded in pulling up nearly 800 million people out of poverty? How is it that every road that is now being built in Africa, whether the road is in Benin or in Nairobi, Kenya, or in Johannesburg, South Africa, or in Kigali, in Rwanda, or the Democratic Republic of Congo, there is a Chinese firm whose name I cannot pronounce as the contractor.
My opinion, and we are happy to have you here. Of course, Kenya, we are still mourning over the passing of Bomet's Governor Joyce Laboso, he is a pioneer in so many ways, as we had a lot of tributes being paid to her and homage being paid to her from different leaders and even the family members. She's a woman who is considered as a trailblazer in this country in so many ways, and so we will just look at that before we get into our topic of the day. today. And with me is none other than Dr. David Matanga. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning, Miriam. Thank you very much. Viewers, wherever you are in the world, thank you very much for watching us and for your patronage. We thank you very much for continuing to for watching Punchline Africa TV continuously, and for making sure that you tune in to hear practical issues on how we can change Africa, how we can solve some of the problems. In Kenya, we first take the opportunity to inform the world that cancer this month has killed very many people, some of them that we cannot mention. It's a long list. Several other patients are dying of cancer. But prominently, some of them who have, like MPs, members of parliament, managing directors. This month has been a month of disaster, especially in terms of healthcare systems that see Kenya on the map again. Are we heading towards a full-scale cancer war where we have to fight cancer like we did fight AIDS? Cancer seems to have come back to replace HIV/AIDS. As the medicine for HIV/AIDS is found, or people seem to find solutions, another thing comes and hits Africa. It is sad that in Africa, where we have resources, but we are not able to manage those resources properly. That's why a nation mourns angels. But there is deeper and deeper, or deep and deep corruption that is destroying these countries in Africa. Cancer patients have to travel. Cancer patients have to pay huge amounts of money. Laboso stood for the betterment of this country. Laboso stood for women emancipation. Laboso stood for the clarity of, yes, I think, am I right?
Yes.
For the clarity of women, of issues, of politics, and above all, she stood for unity of purpose. I remember one day when we traveled to The Hague together, she was saying, you have done a tremendous job. There's another day we met in Safari bar in Intercontinental. Those who have been there, she was having a meal, and she's told me, this is a tremendous, when we are struggling with Rule 68, and we were talking about how can we do, what can we do to help, to make sure that the Rule 68 goes away, so that the ICC does not use it. She gave very insightful, and she gave me, I told her we needed a legal bypass, a political legal bypass that can make the cases of ICC to collapse. She's gone, she's an angel of development, an angel of caring for the people she was leading. She cared for them, she listened to them, she solved the problems that they had. It was one of the few counties that did not have corruption scandal. She's gone down with her name intact. From the Speaker of National Assembly, from the lecturer of the university, Laboso stood up. The same goes to another angel, Kenneth Okoth, or Ken Okoth, the MP for Kibra. Another angel has gone, left what has this shown us? He has left a record that talks for itself. A record of where the man worked hard to build, to change one of the most inhabitable areas on planet Earth, Kibera or Kibera constituency, the biggest slum in Africa, which has been neglected by politicians, by government. Government has pumped in money, politicians used to eat it. They just don't do the projects. But Ken Okoth stood up and did something. He's left a legacy. Laboso has left a legacy. And as I told you, I'm one of those looking at the legacy. I've already grabbed it and I'm writing as I told you. I'm now on chapter 2 of President Uhuru Kenyatta's legacy. The health institutions must change. Food security must be there. Manufacturing must improve. Affordable housing must improve. Those are the tenets that Okoth and Laboso stood for. The same tenets that Michael Colmore of Safaricom, the same tenets that you see the gentleman that we buried again in Old Saints, the former Principal Private Secretary to the President, Kiema, or some like that. These are some of the gone angels, the angels that show us light, that things can be done without corruption. As we speak today, corruption is embedded within the institutions of Kenya. We are witnessing right now, there is a judgment on one of the governors. As one governor, an angel leaves, the planet Earth goes to yield further. One angel, one governor with a whole family is fighting for a life in the courts of Nairobi. It is very, very shameful.
It is very shameful
for you and your wife to land on the money of the county and eat it and go around boasting on campaign trail rallies saying we love you. You see, it is very shameful. My wife, if you see me doing that to you, please, please, just pack your bags and leave me alone.
And I think right now the judges will give a ruling over the bond. You know, yesterday they refused to leave. So this spent the night, Governor Waititi together with the wife in the cells, the police cell. So today, I think the lawyers went there to challenge that. And the judge will make a ruling soon on whether they'll be allowed to leave on bond as the case proceeds.
They will be allowed to leave on bond, but they should leave. They live on a day when one of the angels has gone. Can they emulate what the angels were doing? Can they emulate Okoth, who died, who had the money, who had the CDF at his exposure? He did not steal any single coin of CDF. Laboso did not take. I would like the picture of Laboso, Okoth, to be brought on the screen. Our production team, you can see all the headlines of Okoth, Laboso on all the newspapers of Kenya. This is why the papers have given prominence. It's because these people were hardworking. They were angels. She was an angel. She's a woman you could insult and she laughs. She looks at you.
Just remember when Gladys Wanga poured water.
Yes, poured water on her.
She did not even
react. She did not react. And she knew what she was doing. That is the spirit that we in Africa want.
And also very interesting, she challenged, you know, the affirmative action and the, you know, in the country we have a law that allows 47 women representatives across the country. So when she was vying for the governorship of Bomet and she was challenged and she said, no, I think whether I'm a woman or not, I want to fight for this position, and I'm sure I will win, and I want to have a level playing field. And she did, and she went there, spoke to the electorates, and she was able to convince them. And this that goes to show that indeed Kenyans are ready to have even women leadership in this country. It's only that the women sometimes they doubt themselves, but Joyce Laboso had so much confidence, and she was able to inspire even the people of Bomet, and she was able to be elected. And the affirmative action, she challenged that. She said, I don't need that because I'm a woman. I don't need that. I will go out there and fight for this position. You're not just given leadership. You have to go out there and fight for it and get it. And if people agree to give you the mandate to lead them and to serve them, then there it is, whether you're a man or a woman. So I love that she challenged that affirmative action. That sometimes a lot of us women, I know the playing field is not very leveled, but we use that as an excuse not to go for the things that we really believe in, especially when it comes to public leadership. And also you mentioned there Joyce Laboso and the late Ken Okoth. They are a true epitome of leadership in this country. When you look at, when you go to Kibra today, the roads that have been built,
yes,
Ken has been there only for 7 years, comparing to when even Raila Odinga was the member of parliament there. Not much was done, and that is the truth. But when Ken Okoth came in as the member of parliament, he changed the lives of Kibra and the people living there. And even when the leadership in ODM did not want him to vie, because he seems to have had just a different stand and ideologies, and in ways in which he wanted to change the lives of his people. They did not like his ideologies very much, but the people on the ground are the ones who said, you know what, this is the man we want, this is the man we want to serve us. And he went there, and they were not disappointed. So truly we've lost a very great leaders in this country.
Thank you very much. All the headlines, newspaper, you can hold one, I hold another one. Miriam, all the headlines, newspaper, smiling with angels. Mm-hmm. Yes, she's gone to Ale, and she's left us at the age of 58. One of the problems is that cancer used to take people of 60, 70, 80 years. Cancer is now a disease that is taking people of the age of even 20, 23.
And this is a conversation you must
So the conversation in town, mm-hmm, in everywhere, in every African country, mm-hmm, how do we combat cancer? And these are the pictures that you can see for yourselves what has happened
on the papers.
On the papers of the Kenya. Mm-hmm. We don't have any major headline apart from the headline of corrupt officials, mm-hmm, shamingly walking into with smile. You have been given money to do the roads. Mm-hmm. And this is the constituency of the president. Mm-hmm. This is the county of the president, where the governor should be working hard and talking to the president and say, sir, there is some bridge that is left somewhere. Mm-hmm. But this guy does not even talk. Well, he has actually, he even has opened more problems. Pandora is in a group that does not like to see President Uhuru Kenyatta.
Well, he had 58 million for South Sudan peace talk.
Yes. So we have a problem here. So, but that one we shall look at later on. But may her soul rest in peace, Mama. Mm-hmm. Go in peace, Mama. Continue to guide your people through the spirit that you have, Mama. Continue to make them feel that you are present, Mama. Continue them to say what you said and what you used to say, Mama.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed, a very sad situation there. And a tribute pour in for Bomet Governor, who succumbed at Nairobi Hospital after bravely battling ovarian cancer, with friends and family recalling the life and times of the Iron Lady of Kalenjin politics. That is on the standard. And, coming from the Kalenjin community, there are women, it takes a lot for you even to rise for a position of a governor as a woman in the Kalenjin politics. And being that she was not married within that community, that also became one of the hurdles that his opponents are using to try to deter him not to get that. But you know what? I think her track record as a member of parliament for Sotik must have spoken for itself, and Bomet people give her a chance here. There's a very photo here that is quite sad. He's had, brother-in-law there, Henry Osano, really weeping after viewing her body at Lee Funeral Home. And Joyce Laboso was not a politician until the death of her sister, and her sister Lorna Laboso, who perished in a plane crash in 2008. And until then, a lecturer at Egerton University, where she threw herself in the murky waters of politics, winning the Sotik parliamentary seat in an ODM ticket. And as an MP, Dr. Laboso quickly distinguished herself as a sober and assertive politician. Very, very two important qualities that Dr. Laboso. She was not involved in these small talks and this pettiness that sometimes our politicians exhibit. Yes.
Thank you very much, viewers. We had a caller who has been saying he wants to speak to us. Let's see whether our things work.
I think it's all right.
It's all right.
As they're working on it. Please
okay.
Let us know. Are we ready?
If we are ready, Stephen, hold on the line. But as we were talking, Mr. Waititu has been aliwachiliwa kwa
the man. He's been let out on a bond, on a fine. Yeah, he's been allowed
on bail.
On bail, yes.
On bail, but how much? What are the conditions?
I think it's happening right now. That is a news story that is happening right now.
Hajakatwaza kuenda kwa ofisi. Waititu kuwasilisha stakabadhi za.
He used to surrender his passport.
Yes.
Yes. The money 15 million. Is it each or per person? I'm not sure. So they've been let out in a bail of 15 million. I don't know if both of them or just one. So he's out on bail today.
He was the main suspect. Mm-hmm. He has been given bail of 15 million cash, and is similar to the other one, but.
Amwagiza kutoenda. He's been asked not to go to the office, which is a good thing, I think.
Thank you very much. That is one of the things that we want. Waititu has been barred from going to the office. Mm-hmm. I think that is a victory for us who have been campaigning, even right midnight at 4 p.m. Mm-hmm. 4 a.m. this morning we are writing articles. You saw my article? A shameful episode of a whole governor brought on trial with a wife. Mm-hmm. He should not step anywhere near that office. That's it. And thank you very much, Chief Magistrate Mugambi.
Yes.
He's lucky to have walked out with 15 million, having lost 500 million. May he stand firm for justice. Not going to the office. Now the battle is there. That is what we call good judiciary. Mm-hmm. Some elements, because you could see Ogenda last night wanted to bring in his mafiadom of fixing cases. And I was very worried that the magistrate would guide us, but I am happy with the way the court is coordinating.
Is coordinating, and right now this ruling has sent shivers into other, possible governors, culprits in this mega scandal that is really ravaging this country.
See, the ruling that makes me very unhappy, is the ruling of Obado and those two younger men. Those two younger men.
I don't know if we are ready.
Stephen, we are bringing you in. Hold on the line. You are watching.
We are ready, yes.
Are we ready? We are ready now. Stephen, we have just received breaking news. Can you test the microphone now? Yeah, talk louder, pause.
Good morning, my brother.
Good morning.
Wow, this is a very good news. I'm celebrating for the first time.
In the court about Waititu.
This is the second time I'm celebrating for a court. The second time, the first time was when some elections were nullified. I don't want to go back there. But now today, it is a great celebration for all of us.
All right, yes.
Now, Masaga,
Yes.
let me first of all send my message of condolences to the family of Laboso and the family of Ken Okoth. We have indeed lost great people. But I would like disagree with you when I say that corruption is killing our people.
Yes.
It is not the cancer or the illness. It is the corruption that is killing our people. The corruption that our leaders are only championing for their stomachs. They want to be elected into public offices so that they can treat themselves, while the majority of Kenyans remain dying in hunger. Ken Okoth did a very good job. He did a very, very wonderful job. And we'll always remember him for that. But Joyce Laboso, who is the governor, who was the governor of Bomet, with full budget, with full instrument of county powers, someone who can allocate money to buy land and build hostels and build a cancer center for the people of Bomet and the people of Great Lake region. She did not do that. And this habit of us Africans, where we only praise people when they are dead, we don't want to tell the truth. Come on, we need to stop this as Africans and say the truth as it is. In as much as we are mourning Joyce, we should also point out our failures.
Yeah.
As a leader who we elected and trusted with our money, she could have bought a land somewhere in Bomet, built a cancer center, so that when she was sick, maybe even the thing, this a cancer, she would have been given notice as early if maybe we had, if she built a cancer center in Bomet. Kenway Coastal is one of the also that is serving the larger Great region. I mean, the larger Great Lake region. But she did not improve the services at Kenway Coastal. You go to the net today, you will see what is happening there.
Okay.
When she's sick, she's not allow me to just say that it is because we are Africans. We need
Yeah,
to
but Africans mourn to that level. Africans, you don't mourn.
celebrating their failures.
Stephen, I will control the program because you are my friend, and I like the work you have done, and I like your opposition with me. For many years, we have hit each other on Raila versus Uhuru. You have hit me so hard, but we have never quarreled to an extent that we can kill each other. But I want to tell you as an elder, now I'm talking as an elder, that is enough for the dead. You have expressed your point on the question of the dead. When the dead has departed, cannot answer. Therefore, we are in a mourning time, but we should reflect on our mistakes also as we mourn. That is dead. Now proceed with the point of corruption in every corner of Kenya, not only Laboso. What about where you come from in Siaya? Is there medicine? You come from Siaya. Is there medicine in Siaya?
There is no medicine in my county, and we have not even seen the governor for the last 3 months. We don't know where he is.
Yeah, the governor told us that since Raila has shaken hands with Uhuru, nobody will come for me. Did you hear that statement?
I heard the statement.
Rasanga has no Is there a hospital in Bondo? Is the Bondo hospital able to treat people? So let's look at the entire country, that all these governors have been thieves.
Now, let me tell you another scenario that you will agree with me in Kisumu County.
Yes,
Professor Nyong'o, currently we know that his health is not good. With the same thing we call cancer, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the guy is not building any cancer center. When he is sick, he's flown to the US.
Mm-hmm.
Please point out these issues. They are very important.
No, you are on radio, on your own TV. Come in.
Professor Nyong'o is not.
Come in and tell him.
Go to Kisumu and see Kisumu hospital.
Your role here on this television is to point out those mistakes to the viewers who are listening in millions. We have money in Africa, but we don't have people who are committed in Africa. Sorry.
Please allow me to say, to point out.
I'm sorry, viewers. I was taking tea, thinking that Steve was online, so I'm having my discussion with tea. So thank you very much. Proceed, Stephen.
In Kisumu County, I want to tell the whole world that Professor Nyong'o, the elected governor of Kisumu, we all know that he has been down with cancer for some. But he has never bothered, with all the billions that he has never bothered to build a cancer center in Kisumu County. Can you tell us why?
Okay.
Is it really fair?
And this happens to all. When the cancer machines were sent across the county, you remember the governors, the first lady did fundraise for these cancer machines. They were distributed around the whole county. But because the governors did not take part in the distribution and the purchase on the hire of these machines, they failed the whole attempt. There are some counties today which have those machines staying. Dust is actually accumulating on top of them. And yet it is very easy to operate them. It's very easy to hire people and they use the little resources which they use to buy apartments. A man like the one in Nanok buys apartments in Nairobi. You know, the whole of corruption is embedded into institutions. Thank you.
Masanga,
Yes.
the most important gift that we have in this world is the gift of life.
Yes.
A governor with full budget and money, why don't they just use all this money that they are losing in building good hospitals so their people can have good health? Is it something difficult to do? And again, in Parliament, yesterday I saw an MP saying that he has some brain cancer. But please forgive me for saying that is stupid, because they are given powers to go to Parliament and make laws, amend laws and make laws. We have all, the researchers have told us that the food we eat are the main causes of cancer in this country. MPs should mobilize and go to Parliament and say enough is enough. We do not want to import food from Western world. We do not want KFCs in Kenya. We do not want McDonald's. These cheap foods, please ban them from Parliament. Make it a law in the Parliament. But don't come out.
Stephen, can I ask you, do you have children?
Yes, I have children.
They like McDonald's, do they? Don't they?
And KFC.
But
Don't even have
Do you know that our children, no, let's be honest, we are now having a debate with you. Our children, if you stop them from going to KFC,
yes.
even women these days, these youngergirls.com, you think you have got a girlfriend, she tells you, bring me KFC. And she doesn't, they don't, bring me McDonald's. Recently, I went home. I was in London last week. And when I landed at the airport, my daughter called me and said, Daddy, you have come? Yes, I'm not feeling well, but can you pass through some McDonald's, no, KFC, and bring me something. There are some things called, well, it is, she was okay because it was chicken. If it was meat, I was not going to buy. They said, no, they are called breast balls in KFC. They want meat without bones. Boneless.
Chicken breast, yes.
Yes, bring it. So we have a new generation, not like you, not like me. We didn't grow on McDonald's. We did not. We grew on roasted cassava. We grew on roasted potatoes. We grew on roasted maize. We did not see all these problems. And at that time, the land, the scape, the environment, the systems were working. The rivers were flowing without, any other problem. Rivers were flowing. Yes. Go ahead.
Why are we importing?
I'm told. Can we prepare, Stephen? We want to go to another topic. Can we prepare and bring you in on the studio?
Before we go to another topic, good morning, Steve.
Yes.
Good morning.
Morning.
So, Kiambu governor has been released on a 15 million, together with the wife, Kenya shillings bond bail. What do you make of that?
15 million.
Yes, owing to the amount that has been lost, which is about 588 million Kenya shillings of Kiambu County's money.
The only thing I will celebrate is that he has been barred from stepping into his office.
Yes.
But the judge could have taken him to custody for another 1 week so that he knew what is going there, or for even 2 weeks. But giving him, if you compare 15 million with what he has done, that is peanut to him.
And the wife also given a bail of 4 million. So it's 15 and 4 from that's 19 million from the same family.
I'm only celebrating that he has been there from stepping into his office, but I'm not celebrating that he has been released. Compared to this guy has even committed a very serious crime. This is very serious. So I'm not so happy with the bail, but I'm happy that he has been barred from going to his office. So he will step aside and allow the county operation to go. That is okay. But releasing him on a bail of 15 million, that's peanut to him.
That is
And
peanuts to him.
Waititu is one of the guys who has very dubious behavior. Someone who didn't go to school. Please allow me for saying this. But again, we also need to blame ourselves as Wanaiti. Can you imagine? We leave people who has a good ideology, who can help us move forward, and then we elect people because of their diplomas.
Yes.
So we have ourselves to blame. We get the leaders we deserve.
And do ABCD, then we elect him. But we deny people with good ideology just to lead us. That is very wrong.
Thank you very much. Any last words to the people of Kenya?
My last word is that our leaders should be...
Is George Soros following us?
He's not following us. That one is obvious.
Is George Soros following us?
Sorry for another day. George Soros, I need to come to this. We discussed this George Soros story. I've even tested his money, so I know he's around. The George Soros money is around France.
Huh?
Why are you looking shocked? He's confessing he's tested
We need to
George Soros
discuss
money.
those issues. I will come to the studio.
All
So
right.
is the money here?
Yes, the money came here a long time ago. When you were saying it, not seeing it, but it came. I know it is here with us.
Hey, thank you very much, Stephen, for all your contribution. Continue watching Punchline Africa TV. George Soros' money is in Kenya. My good friend Stephen, don't buy me any drink anymore. Because it could be George Soros' money. Thank you very much. I think it's very candid. He says it came here, people tested it, and it is here. It might destroy us.
People are still testing it.
Thank you very much, Miriam.
Yes, indeed.
Do we have any African news?
Yes, we do, and that is just, I go through it quickly, and then we come back to
the main topic.
the main
Then
topic
we
of the day.
we call it a day. We want to leave the studio a quarter to some time.
A quarter to some time.
Yes.
All right.
And then you can prepare for the show at 4.
At 4.
I think this is very interesting news. Either people are complaining that we no longer do that show called, what is it?
The Unfiltered or what?
Yes. The unfiltered show.
Okay.
But let's keep it Africa. This afternoon, we shall look across Africa. I think we seem to have lost Libya. We seem to have lost Khartoum. They have now called for mass action again. So bring us that. Then we seem to be...
The Pope is preparing to come back to South Sudan.
Oh my God.
So we will talk about, I have it in the news here, but maybe we can talk about it after, or maybe in the later show in the afternoon. So
now Pope is coming here again.
South Sudan, yes. He's worried.
Yeah, because the miracle did not work.
The feet kiss.
Pope Paul, when he touched my head, the miracle worked. We got peace in northern Uganda. I'm one of those Pope Paul the late touched.
Because you're receptive.
Yes. No, we knew what we were doing as Ugandans. We brought peace, and the peace is gone. It's done. It's done. It's done. Anybody else can do whatever they want to do. But it's not our hands. It is not on me. I have nothing. I wish everybody in Uganda. I am not even interested in the politics. I don't want to hear. And anybody calling me from those who are trying to call me or what, if you knew my number, don't call me about Uganda politics, please. I'm not interested. I don't want to know. I don't want to hear. That's it. That's the decision I've taken. Whether Museveni can rule up to the end until the world comes to an end, let him go ahead. Because there is nothing to argue in a ground which is useless. When salt has become saltless, we are going in an election without reforms. Those reforms were ordered by the Supreme Court long time ago. Yes. Don't bring my name into this. I don't want to hear. I'm very comfortable wherever I am. And I just want to warn all Ugandans, please. When you meet me, don't talk to me about politics of Uganda. It has cost me my family, my life, and everything. So I don't want to hear it. That Bob Wine, Besigye himself, is the one who made it wrong. That he would correct it. He's the one who wrote those rules that are today making us suffer, or many people suffer.
He's also suffering from
yes, so let it know if you lay a bed to sleep on with nails, let the nails pierce you. So for me, please, let's discuss some other things. Talk to me about Libya. Talk to me about Central African Republic, Sudan, South Sudan, Somalia, which I have to put up, Zimbabwe and other places to help it not collapse on international scene, because it could collapse anytime. We have to help it. There's chaos in there which you can't see. But some of us who have eyes that see beyond the borders, and more so talking from the fence, we can see quite a lot. So as a member of the International Institute of Strategic Studies, my fellow Ugandans, I just want to tell you, I wish you good luck in these elections, and I wish you good luck in your politics. I can serve in any capacity that could be given to me on pro bono, but I don't want to involve myself in the politics of Republic of Uganda. It's costly, it's deadly, it's amorphous,
It's amorphous.
Yes, it's prudish. It is sardonic. Can I go on? I have so many adjectives to describe.
Politics of Uganda.
Yes.
And Rwanda too.
And no, Rwanda is even more deadly. So these are some of the things. If you can see an opposition leader disappearing when he was going for a meeting, this is the thing I don't want to. Please, I don't want myself to be brought near this. And that is my my statement is coming out. Please get me out of it. I've lost. I put, maybe when I started talking about money, some people who ate the money started plotting for me. They ate my money. And then they did not bring that money to me. It's not President Museveni who cheated me in the money. The people cheated me in the money. And I know them. So don't worry, I'm not going to ask. If you have it, bring it. For me, God fights me for my way all the time. All the time, God is great. So please, it's 2021, isn't it? It's not a very good place for me to discuss politics which has no head and no tail. You are going, the Supreme Court ordered that reforms should be made 5 years before another election.
Elections that are coming, yes.
Now we have not done even one single reform. So you are preparing people for disaster, for a clash, for protest, for killing after elections. I don't want to be involved in that. That's it. Let those who always walk around and say matanga in the dead these rooms because they want to drink some soup. Please don't bring in my name. I have President Museveni's numbers. If I want to call him, I will call him and tell him I have a problem. But I don't have any problem. I have Rugunda's number. I will call him. Not that I don't talk to them. I do. I want to tell you now, frankly. I do. I talk to Rugunda. I have no problem with them. As a mature person at the age of 64, that's it. You play your childish politics. Because I'm even older than the Besigye. So what is this Besigye going to tell me? Which I have not seen. What is that small boy, this musician, going to tell me? Only to bring chaos to people. And they're collecting money from George Soros. Shut up. I don't want to know. I don't collect money from people, from George Soros. So, Mutio, I'm sorry to divert from this because it came up
yesterday and the other day.
Yesterday and so on. I don't want that at all. Leave me alone. Let me do the little things to serve community and the Pan-Africanism that is here. There is a gap to fill for Nyerere, Kaunda, Obote, Jomo Kenyatta, Haile Selassie, Sekuture, Nkuruma, Gabriel Nasa, Kabura, Patrice Lumumba. And that's the man. Leave me out of the cheap politics. That's very cheap. The only place that I can serve now is the African Union. If you get rid of this tall man, useless guy, I can make Africa work very properly. Because I know the tools of analysis. I know how to write the policy papers. I know how to engage. I know how to fight for Africa. That's the position. Throw it wide for all of us to put our votes and let Africa listen to us as we speak about the economic development, transformation of Africa. Don't put this post of African Union to AU former foreign ministers or what. No! Give it to us. This organization was for us. Let's change that. I don't know why Kagame did not see that. So that we can lead this movement. We can make African Union worth talking about in 10 years to come. At the moment, African Union is not worth it. People in Nigeria are dying. They are being killed on a daily basis in Nigeria, in southeastern Nigeria, in central Nigeria, now in Maiduguri in the north, the death toll is rising. That's what the African Union should stop. You see? A war is brewing in Congo.
It is brewing in Congo.
That's what the African Union should talk.
And
this tall man in Addis Ababa, he picks money from France. Because I talk with facts and I have evidence. If he ever says, nah, I will bring it out with bank account. If you didn't cover yourself properly, cover it yourself, but it's too late. Boss, we operate. So I feel so sad on African continent when you see Africa dying. A conflict like this one, Somalia and Kenya. AU should have already summoned a Somali president and a Somali foreign minister and a Somali Kenyan, put them together, say what is your problem? Why do you rush to international courts when we created the African Union? September is going to be a very dark day, dark month for Kenya. If the ruling on 19, if you say they have given this part to this, these things should not go to those. You are giving imperialists time to come and weaken us. That's the type of job I'm looking for.
And that ruling, and I'm sure it will go that way because I don't see it going any other way. And I think we are in agreement in that. That will be a beginning of another problem and feud between Kenya and Somalia.
Yes, we have our
Look
troops.
at each other.
We have Ugandan troops there. We need to protect those troops. We have Kenyan troops in Somalia. We need to protect those troops. We can't allow such things to go beyond rulings of that nature divide. ICC was going to kill Kenya. You remember? Under the CJ, the Court of Justice, International Court of Justice, will destroy these two countries. Somali nationalism will rise. They will turn on us. They will want us out. You see where we get defeated in Africa? It is going to come. You don't need a prophet, Elijah, and somebody to tell you. I am not one of the offsprings of those prophets. I am just a man who studied the subject of political science and in conflict resolution expert. Tell me anything, I'll tell you. Ask me. I'll tell you. This is going to cause us a problem.
I think you brought a very important point there, Dr. Matsanga. Even in the Kenyan-Somali feud, you would think that AU already would have come in only for us to see like these international bodies like the Islamic State, the Arab League coming in and telling Kenya to keep off. Where is African Union?
Where's African Union?
To mediate.
The matters, who has helped the Islamic State
League?
How much has it helped Somalia? Instead, it has sent us terrorists. Yes, talk the truth, you Africans. What has the Arab League done to us, to help us in Somalia? Some of those Arab League countries are the ones where terrorists are coming from to come and crowd in Somalia,
The extremists.
in Mogadishu, and kill people every day. We should not keep quiet. We should talk about Africa. Don't reduce us to these smaller things of running for elections in a smaller country called Uganda. How many can we lead in Uganda? How many? If you cannot lower yourself to a grade of a musician of 36 years old that I should compete in such an election, what the hell? Not me. That's my son, number 3. Can go and compete with Bob Wine. In fact, he knows better English. When he speaks English, you can run off. Not me, Matsanga. I can't. That's how proud I am as a Mugisu. I will not stand in these cheap elections where your people, a musician, has cheapened himself. Who can't even formulate a policy that you are going to be a president of Uganda? You can't write a policy in English language. What type of election is this? Those who talk, oh, they are the intelligence talk. What? I will pick a phone and call Museveni. Why do you want me? I'm here. I brought peace in northern Uganda. Is there any fight there? Is there any child, anybody that I brought 120,000 people? There is none who has ever gone out of the law. They are there. I did my job. I finished it. I was not paid. The people ate the money. They enjoyed, they bought saloons in Kampala. I have found out everything. And more apartments. But I don't have anything to worry about these cheap things. Politics, this, what? Basically created a problem himself. He wrote the laws that are getting him now. He was a senior minister, a political commissioner, laying down the rules to finish us. Mugisha Muntu was a commander, fighting the northerners, slaughtering them on a daily basis. And then he finished the problem. Hey, you haven't seen it yet. You don't blame Museveni alone. No. Also, you people have a problem. You are commanders. When you were a commander, what did you do? What did you do? Did Museveni come and tell you to kill? You haven't seen yet. Let it begin. You think we have watched everybody standing that he wants to be a president. These guys, we better have peace. And under Museveni, there is that peace. We don't have the democracy. Who told you democracy was going to be fluent? Nana alikwambia, where is it written that democracy is always like a honey that flows from the bee? Drink it. Drink it.
Honey flows from the bee.
Or the bee hive. Yeah, of course, it's the bee.
The comb.
Yes. Miriam, take it over. I'm sorry, I have to tell people.
I was just trying to calm down the train.
Yes, because of, we started off international agencies.
It's fine.
AU.
We are within context.
Yes, yeah. AU. Yes. What is it doing?
What is AU doing?
We have people in Nigeria dying. We have people in Amazonia dying. This guy from AU, this tall guy from Chad, is doing nothing. He's doing nothing. Mm-hmm. The AU was created to make African solidarity, the African unity. AU is dividing Africa more. Show me where it has united Africa.
Whose agenda are they working on?
French.
Clearly, they're not working on
French.
On Africa.
French agenda. French. You can't tell me that General Haftar, Khalifa Haftar, has aeroplanes, jet fighters bombing other Libyans.
Not just jet fighters, sophisticated.
The arms. And where did these arms come from?
The latest.
United Arab Emirates. Where did they buy them? France. And yet the UN Security Council has said the government in Tripoli is the most recognized government. Mm-hmm. It's the one that has a seat in the UN in New York. What the hell is, what fucking hell is this? Sorry. Where is it? Where do we go from here? You can't have planes from Bagazi going to bomb the same people you want to lead. And then you tell me, AU, my foot. There's no AU. There is money minting AU, where the chairperson of AU goes to mint money. And now they have been joined by Mshikiwambo, who is the chairperson of the French Secretary General, French Organization of Francophone. Their meetings, we monitor them. We get every intelligence. Hello, unfortunately, Musa Faki, you can't manage me. We get everything you do every night. And we are going to expose this. This AU post to be given to us. Let everybody in Africa who is able, let Africans vote. Let's devise a method of which African can work for Africa. not Africans who work for foreign interests,
Gatekeepers.
and the rent seekers using African Union headquarters.
Rent seekers. Nanganyi Gaison is saying, Dr. Matanga, we are fighting and we picked from where you stopped. We shall one time dislodge this government full of mafias. You can't give up now. The battle is still on. And yes, keep writing to us. And Oko Aje, thank you for joining. Ozias Mutunzi, thank you for joining. And you're saying journalism and politics go hand in hand here. You're referring to Dr. Matanga. And Justice Oko, you're saying, may God continue to bless you guys for standing against injustice on humanity. We say that Nigeria is one. My brother, you better wake up and see that none, Hausa, Fulani, are nothing but slaves in this zoo called Nigeria. Biafrans must be free. And so, yes, I keep writing. And Steve Odiko is saying, I agree with you, Dr. Matanga. And Silvanus, you're saying, Anyang Nyongo is on a picnic. The guy is really in Kisumu. Why shouldn't he build a nice hospital so that he dies in Kisumu? And why does he still want to die in Nairobi? All right. Okay, there you go. So thank you so much. Keep writing. And yeah, and as you do that, let us know where you're watching us from. Doctor, do I just go through quickly the news-making headlines, and then we can talk about it as we continue?
Thank you very much. I'm sorry to have said it.
Why?
But the message is sent.
It's in the context, yes.
I've clearly leave me out of this. This is a Quagmire state, a cantankerous state. I am not interested. Don't mention my name. If you want to eat or get some money and allowance to sleep in a hotel in Nairobi, come and sleep. Don't mention my name. Leave me alone. I've done my best. And I don't think President Museveni has any problem and any issue with me. If he has it, I will call him. I'm not Sonko who can call and put loudspeaker. I'll call him. I have all the numbers. I don't have any problem. I've done everything for them. The peace has returned. That basically Mugisha Muntu, who were commanders. I was not a commander. I did not fight in that army of NRN. Never. Never. The people who went, they commanded the same people. Let them clean the exercise.
All right. And on that note, let us just go quickly and look at what else is making headlines across Africa this afternoon. It's already way past noon here in Nairobi, of course, East African time. We start with Tanzania, where a top investigative journalist in Tanzania who has been critical of the government has been arrested for questioning. A police source has confirmed to the BBC. Eric Kabendera was taken by 6 men from his home in Dar es Salaam on Monday afternoon. At first, reports suggested the freelance reporter had been abducted, but police are still refusing to comment officially on his detention. And in Sudan, an overnight curfew has been announced in 4 towns of Sudan's North Kordofan state after 5 people were shot dead during a protest. At least 3 of the victims are reported to be high school students who were demonstrating on the streets of the state capital, El Obeid. An anti-government protest had been taking place across Sudan since December. They led to the ousting of President Omar al-Bashir, and on Saturday, the prosecutor's office said at least 8 military officers would be charged with crimes against humanity for killing 78 protesters. And still in Sudan, Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi met in Cairo the deputy head of Sudan's ruling Transitional Military Council, General Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo, whose forces have been accused of carrying out a brutal crackdown on pro-democracy demonstrators in June. Egypt's government has been a strong backer of the TMC after the military overthrew President al-Bashir. And in South Africa, the country's public prosecutor who investigates allegations of corruption by state officials has lost a court case for the second time in a week. Busisiwe Mukwebane's critics accuse her of political bias in her role. She had instructed that disciplinary action be taken against the country's public enterprise minister Pravin Gordhan after stating that he had violated the constitution. However, the High Court in Pretoria has suspended the order, and last week a court ruled that Ms. Mukwebane had lied under oath and acted in bad faith. And in Nigeria, the bail hearing for the leader of the Nigerian Shia group Islamic Movement in Nigeria has been postponed for the second time in a fortnight. It was meant to be on Monday, but the High Court in Kaduna, northern Nigeria, will now hear the bail application on 5th of August. Sheikh Ibrahim Sarkadzi has been detained since 2015 in the aftermath of clashes between his followers and the army and charged with culpable homicide, murder, unlawful assembly, and disruption of peace. And in Ghana, the U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is in Ghana as the head of congressional delegation to hold discussions with President Nana Akufo-Addo on Monday and to address Ghana's lawmaker on Wednesday. While in Ghana, Pelosi and other members of the U.S. Congress plan discussion on regional security, sustainable and inclusive development, and the challenges of tomorrow, including a climate crisis. And in the DRC, an official in Congo says now that 4 people, including 2 expatriates working for the Canadian gold mining company Banro, were abducted last week in the southern Maniema province of eastern Congo. And we come back to Sudan and South Sudan, and the Sudanese and South Sudanese officials agreed late Saturday with the leader of an alliance of armed fractions operating along the joint border to extend a ceasefire and grant humanitarian access to some areas affected by conflict in Sudan. Sudan says a neighboring South Sudan has been giving refuge to Malik Agar, one of the many rebels in Sudan. And in South Sudan, the planned visit of Pope Francis to the country may happen soon. The chief of international relations for St. Egidio community in Rome, an active go-between for the Vatican and South Sudan, has said the Italian layman Mario Garofalos made the remarks at a joint news conference in Rome last Friday after 3 days of meeting with members of the National Pre-Transitional Committee. Earlier in the year, Pope Francis hosted the member of the South Sudanese presidency, opposition leaders Dr. Riek Machar and other eminent persons for a spiritual retreat at the Vatican, where the Pope kissed their feet. And yes, that is the latest from Africa this afternoon. So there you go. These people, they're forcing the Pope to come back.
Not forcing the Pope.
He has to.
I don't know whether you were here when I said the only organization internationally that can manage a peace process is St. Egidio.
Yes, you said that.
Yes. Am I right now? I'm right. Those who say Matanga does not bring the truth. I told you, St. Egidio is the only organization that in this world, if it takes part in any negotiation, there is always peace. And ask me where they have succeeded. The Uganda peace process between the Lord Resistance Army and the government.
What they the guarantors?
Yes.
Okay.
They facilitated right from 1998 our going to Rome, sitting in Rome, meeting Pope Paul, the late. It is St. Egidio. What IGAD should have done is to pick from there and go to St. Egidio. Seek real support. Because IGAD has no money to police anything here. But the Vatican has money, has resources, is able to police, it is able to facilitate. Peace process is not troops. Peace process is to keep it working. You need resources. You need money. You want to fly to see Minister X, foreign minister here. You need that money. You need a backup. I've been in a peace process before. That's why I've been telling you, South Sudan cannot have peace if we don't have serious organizations like St. Egidio. I'm happy. Dr. Fabio, wherever you are, thank you very much. continue with the good work, and let there be peace in South Sudan. St. Gideon brought peace between Frelimo and Renamo.
Mozambique.
Yes, the first time I met the late Kiplagat, Ambassador Kiplagat, who died last year. Was it last year? Yes?
Perhaps 2 years ago, better.
2 years ago or whatever.
During election
time.
Yes.
Is on the Renamo Frelimo. I was with Kisano.
Oh, he was part of it?
Yes.
Okay.
I was with Kisano, who was the Minister of Foreign Affairs, in Rome. That day when we are waiting for the signing ceremony. When Dagama did not turn up, and Dagama was seeking $2.5 million in cash. I'm telling you. The Pope, yes, the Vatican had to look for that money. We waited from morning, we drank a coffee, we drank a tea, we went where, we walked in the room up to about 10 o'clock at night. Is when Dakama with Kiplagat arrived. The money had already been collected. To collect $2.5 million in hard cash in any European country,
it's difficult.
You have to open up a bank. So the Sudan issue needs support, serious support from the army, from the military, monetary point of view. IGAD can request St. Gideon to come in to back them. You see, they have said the Pope is coming. Pope will come. Because that's the Pope's Foreign Affairs Department. St. Gideon is within there.
It's the Foreign Affairs.
It's in the Vatican, yes.
Yes.
They work with, is an NGO for the Vatican. You ask for money like this, tickets will come. We used to have tickets. We used to have little resources to keep us. And those are some of the organizations that had wanted to pay for all my expenses until President Museveni came and said, don't pay Matanga, we shall pay. Look at the way I missed my money. That's it. So that's a sign, a good sign for Sudanese. Thank you very much. I hope the Pope will come and the peace, people will fear and sign this agreement. Riak will come. That time when the Pope has arrived.
Riak will come.
Yes.
Super.
But at the moment, the events in Khartoum favors insurgents.
Yes, it does.
Anything could happen.
In Khartoum, yes. And there have been attempts of coups that the army has said has failed. And also interesting, Dagalo traveled to, Cairo to meet with Al-Sisi. I don't know his meeting with him because he's the chair of AU or in other just the personal capacities in these different countries. Every time he goes there, I just get a bit fidgety. I don't trust Al-Sisi very much.
Dagalo is my friend.
Yes.
And he's just positioning himself for the AU. He wants the chairperson of AU to discuss, the chairman of AU, to make sure that they re-engage openly Sudan. They should re-engage Sudan openly. It was very, very foolish of AU to cut off lines, communication lines with the military junta without a serious special envoy.
But now that you mentioned that, Doctor, I think this just brought another idea in my head because AU was very quick to cut off communication, to get Sudan out of the AU. But Al-Sisi is meeting these people. Is it on the side or as an AU?
I think it is a bilateral.
The
meeting is bilateral between Sudan and Egypt. You remember Al-Sisi is a regional power. And there are people on the question of Sudan, there are some countries that want Islamic State to maintain the Sharia law. There are some countries, especially the Western countries, France, Norway, Britain, America, they want a system changed completely Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Egypt.
So they're all wanting to influence.
Yes.
In which they want
Of course, if you destroy why Bashir survived is because of Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates.
Yes.
They couldn't arrest him. They couldn't do anything because he was serving their interests. Sudanese troops are fighting a war in Yemen.
Yemen, yes.
Against the Hutu rebels.
Oh, yes.
So it's a dicey situation. If you give freedom to liberal minds in Khartoum, you have given freedom to liberal minds, triggered liberal mind across the Red Sea. People will come, you can rise up and demonstrate and throw a government. It's very possible in Saudi Arabia.
They'll start throwing away.
Yes, very possible. So they wouldn't. They are regional, the biggest regional, and it has the money, the military might, the money might, it has the oil, it has a say with America, it can veto what America says. So that's where you find the situation in Khartoum, in South Sudan, and in Khartoum, very complicated. Yes.
Nigeria. And a bail hearing for the leader of the Nigerian Shia group Islamic movement in Nigeria has been postponed for the second time. And remember, was it over the weekend that the Nigerian government declared that this group that this person is leading as a terrorist.
Is there a government in Nigeria? Surely.
As a terrorist group.
There is no government in Nigeria. A government where the Chief Justice said the termites ate his certificate. What government is this where Chief Justice comes to sign a paper and then he doesn't care what happened? He says the termites ate all his certificates.
This is the Chief Justice that Buhari brought to the office just before the elections.
Yes.
And the other one that was qualified.
And in fact, the government of Nigeria is more or less...
It's a joke.
Idi Amin was better. You can't tell me a Chief Justice says the termites ate my papers. Then what are you signing?
Chief Justice, the termites ate his paper. How did he ascend to the post of the Chief Justice of the country? Anyway, he was handpicked by Buhari. That's very interesting and ridiculous at the same time.
You hadn't seen that?
I saw it, and I thought it was a bad joke.
A very bad joke. It's 32 minutes past 10 in German and 32 minutes past 12 in East Africa, Nairobi. We have been broadcasting my opinion on Good Morning Show. Our opinion here counts. We speak the truth. We say it as it is. If Africa takes it, takes it. If Africa doesn't take it, it will haunt us one day. This is a Pan-African station. Myself, together with Miriam Ogutu. We move to the second part of our debate. If Miriam has any questions, I am ready for them in this second part, which is very well. Kenya's competitiveness is held back by the high corruption levels. According to the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, Kenya is losing an estimated 608 billion shillings to corruption yearly, which is 7.8% of the Kenya's GDP.
Can you just pause that for a moment, Doctor?
Yes.
Look at how much we're losing. We're sitting here seeing how we were at par with countries like Singapore 50 years ago, and look at us. 7.8% of GDP.
GDP.
Equivalent, the money lost in corruption.
The Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta has been vocal. He has been fighting corruption. He has given anti-corruption agencies, DCI, DPP, EACC, money and authority to strike. I see some signs that are coming, which is very good. Some today, especially Governor Waititu and the wife. The one thing that has ashamed me is the family. How do you marry from this family?
When the daughter just got married 2 weekends ago.
So what is the daughter on the honeymoon saying? What has dad done? What is this? If I were the man marrying from there, I would run away.
Okay.
Because you can produce thieves.
Don't say that.
Yeah, they are there.
Sins of my father.
The blood.
Mom and
the
dad.
genes, what the DNA.
Yeah, but even if they get acquitted in this case,
It's a shame.
that will remain with the family.
It's a shame.
That would be a bad.
Still alone. Men in Africa go and hunt out alone. You come back home and your wife will say, thank you very much. But you don't involve your wife, carry her to go and commit fraud on taxpayers' money. Let Mr. Waititu know it. I know Saturday he will be on a rally saying, I've been done this. Try it.
You think he'll have the nerve?
Of course. Do those people have shame?
Because when this case...
Do those people have shame? You know them.
And I want to bring those people, and particularly one of the leaders here who, after Waititu was mentioned in this, he said, you know what, you just deal with the Kiambu County as we're going to deal with that matter. And that was the deputy president when he was he came in support and of Waititu when he was mentioned. And so I've not heard him speak. So I don't understand, but yes, it's such a shame. And he's just been allowed bail out. He's out on bail now. 15 million for Governor Waititu and 4 million for his wife.
You know, people can, they say the company you move with determines who you are. Am I wrong?
Not true. You were the sum total of the 5 people you hung around.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you can know the type of lawyers who have gone to the court is the same company who represent all people from Obado up to the end. You know? Maribe, all those. So me, with this, there's one question that a lady like Madame here stood out. She never played politics of division. She tried to bring people, because of international exposure. She studied in France, she studied French, she worked in France, in London. She had that exposure that she's able to see where the problem is coming from. Otherwise, we've lost a very, very great lady. But when you come back to these corruption scandals, that always keep this country in fragmented status. The president appointed people, gave them authority. The Senate, you're a leader of Senate, majority leader, who makes policies. Then you go to a public rally when Aroro and Kemoro dams money has been stolen. You incite people, then come back and sit in the same position as a leader of majority. So what is this? Even the ordinary Kenyans are laughing. I'm glad that the television owners cancelled his meeting to come on national television and insult people and tell us things that annoy. These guys knew that this man, you know, this Poeco, is it Posiro? The Italian mafia man. I told you this is a mafia group. This man, South African prosecutor by name O'Sullivan, is looking for this guy for 55 billion.
He swindled.
Swindled. He was paid money in South Africa to build a port in Durban to drench the sand and expand the port facilities. The guy ate 55 billion. South Africa has issued a warrant. Now the nightmare of Kenya's scenario, corruption in governance, in institutions, who will be the first one to catch this man? Because as you sentence him in Kenya, South Africa could be the first to get him.
Yes.
So that is the delay of this corruption case. The best we can do here is very simple. The best we can do, is to have the people who are with Rotich charged on that, let them be charged. Because it is going to take a long time for the DPP and DCI
to get hold of
this guy who has like 20 warrants
across the world.
And
you know, he has swindled so far 251 farms, and you wonder how he's been doing this very swiftly. On their website, do you know, shamelessly, they put Aurora and Kimorel projects as one of the things that they have accomplished. Can you believe that? On their website.
Look,
and all these projects exist.
With due respect, Kenyans watching, and those in the government, with due respect, instead of chasing Bazungu, do you know what? Let's chase, in fact, imprison Rotich and the PS and anyone, the manager, Kimasop, get them, let them go. You are wasting time with this Mzungu. You know already he has swindled so many. He was not a dam builder. He was a conduit. He was a mafia man playing to take money. You will not be able to touch him. He could go out for plastic surgery. Where is the Italian government? By now, the Italian government, the warrant for South Africa was issued a long time ago. But the guy left South Africa and came to Kenya and even ate the money of Kenya. Because there's a mafia system in Rome, in Torino, in Milan.
And also doctors, somebody else that I think also might, but the DCI and the DPP and the EACC might try to question. Elgeyo Marakwet, Governor, something like this cannot be in your county and you're not aware.
He was kept off.
What? He was kept off.
Yeah, the senator, remember the senator, Elgeyo Marakwet, Governor, is not pro this group. Is not Tanga group. They hate him.
That's why he's not been mentioned.
Yes, so he's not involved. They didn't want him to know.
Okay.
The people that they are giving these lucrative things.
But the senator seems to be having some information.
But the senator's wife had cars bought out of the money.
So they need to be called in for questioning as well.
There's no need of getting... Yes, I saw Murkomen trying to talk like the managing director of CMC, CMS, Rivenda.
Or KVDA, you think he's the one of the...
He talked like a managing the Muzungu. You know, there's something... It has... You see, there is a saying in Africa that when you treat the boil and run around it, when it bursts, it could be too late to use the pass. Thank you.
Not thank you.
Can we leave it there?
No, before you leave it there, the National Assembly Chief Whip Ben Washiali has claimed that these are just fresh attempts to silence Deputy President William Ruto, and so he's saying that the arrest of CS Edwin Rotich is politically motivated. Why do we have to bring politics to everything?
How can it be politically motivated when people, there is a government agency, NIS, is supposed to vet anybody? Did they ever go there to seek advice? No. In normal countries where things work well, the head of intelligence would tell you, don't do that contract. But here, when they are told to do it, they don't listen. The minister never listened. The minister got instructions from his, not even from the boss. I think the boss was kept aloof.
Yes, and I think that when the Kerio Valley Development Authority, KVDA, requested for proposals for the funding, design, building, and transfer of the Aurora and Kimorel dams, the bidders omitted something crucial for their bill of quantities. The designs.
Which is a feasibility study.
They did not even use the designs for the dams.
These guys are guilty. I don't know why we should not wait for those Bazungu. Kata hii watu waingie kwa gerezani. they start serving their sentence. Thank you very much.
Okay.
That is how we have ended up with very good news that the governor of Kiambu, Ferdinand Waititu, has been bailed out for 15 million shillings on bail, but not to ever step in the office.
Until the case is over.
Until the case is over. It is as good as telling you, you are out. That's another good way.
And that is what I think in the study here we do. As we were going through the headlines here, State wants Waititu locked out of the office, and the governor's lawyers, however, say denying the county chief the access amounts to removing him from his position through the back door. So
you know, lawyers.
That is according to what.
I don't know where Professor Ogenda studied law, but I believe it was Nairobi University.
University of Nairobi.
University of Nairobi.
Yes.
And I believe in the University of Nairobi, Professor Chibwana was very good at teaching. And other professors who taught law are very brilliant people who are not corrupt. But unfortunately, the Chibwanas produce corrupt people, like Professor Tom Ogenda. He knows very well that once you have stolen money from the same county, you can't go back to that county.
It's common sense. Even forget the law.
And then you convince a national television. I don't know why people take cases to a man like Ogenda. The issue of tribe, put it aside. Ogenda is soulless. Because Ogenda's role was to fix the cases. He has nothing in material terms of reasoning. I would rather die with Omogin or Mr. Orengo. Those are bright minds, and Ngatia. And then my friend Muite. But the rest of the other lawyers you see shining here, Grand Mura, who these are all fixers. They just fix the cases. They know which judge is going to be there tomorrow.
Grand Mula will come for you.
He can come. I'm ready for him. I have a record on him. Very long one. If he wants to try me.
A dossier.
A dossier.
Okay.
I have. Mimi sijali na yeye ako na TV na mimi niko nayo. Niko na record kwake.
He has a television now.
Yeah, he has opened a television.
Okay. All right. John Clark is laughing. I don't know about which part, but I seem to be having a good time. Thank you for joining us today. So do we call it a day?
I think thank you very much, so that we allow you to prepare unfiltered questions. Let's do an unfiltered at 4.
All right. So we'll see you here at 4.
Peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Viewers, good morning, Africa, wherever you are. We are looking at the rise from the ashes of the judiciary of the Republic of Kenya. For the last 2 years, since the nullification of elections of 2017, the judiciary of the Republic of Kenya has been on the headlines and in every newspaper worldwide, nationally, regionally, and Africa at large. The nullification of that election brought what we call a dual system of courage of justice.
That the presidential election held on 8th August 2017 was not conducted in accordance with the Constitution and the applicable law, rendering the declared results invalid, null, and void.
The justice that is demanded by civil society, international civil society, and the local civil societies, and the justice demanded by the interest of the nation. Given the two, which one do Kenyans want? Do they want the interest of the nation? In the interest of the nation, President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta decided to go back to campaign in order to show the world that he was able, and he is able, and he was the winner. The campaigns took place, an election was reconducted. For the second time, Uhuru emerged the winner of that election. From then, the judiciary has never been a judiciary for the people of Kenya. It has been a judiciary commanded, supported, equipped logistically by either local NGOs or international NGOs that tell them on what to do, not to do. And above all, the situation of judicial officers themselves being activists. We have seen a number of judges acting like activists on the streets, making decisions that are not in the interest of the judiciary and not in the interest of the country at large. The release of terrorists or alleged terrorists from courts using the law, and then the terrorists return to kill many Kenyans, is one of the factors that has caught our eye. In Africa School of Thought, we believe that Chief Justice Maraga and his entire team, or Chief Justice Maraga, the Deputy Chief Justice, Madam Mwiru, have not done a service for this country. They have misused the powers conferred upon them by the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya to either do politicking or accuse the executive of being political or being a witch hunter against the judiciary. Time and time again, President Uhuru Kenyatta has pumped in money in the judiciary to raise the standards of the employees of the judiciary, to give the judges freedom and welfare that they are able to conduct their affairs without interference. Is it time now for the Kenyans to say we have had enough of a bad judiciary? Is it time now for us to fight and for Africa to rise up? Because we see a lot of shrinkage of constitutionalism being done by the judges. If you look at what the judges in Malawi did, they did it in the morning, they reversed it in the afternoon, they ate it during dinner. Is this what Kenyans want? I leave it to you, Kenyans. Our hopes lie on the judicial service, the new judicial service system that has been put there, and hopefully, and only hopefully, that one day we shall rise from the ashes of corruption. Thank you.